in my generation, if there was gym drama or whatever it's going to be, you kind of had to work it out. You
were forced to. You
had to, unless you wanted to just quit fucking powerlifting.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nowhere else to go.
And that goes back to the gym thing. I think dudes that wouldn't, instead of just being like, you know what, we might not like each other, but we're here trying to do the same thing. I'll push you, you push me, and business.
Well, that's what always happened. Is it would blow up, and it did. I'm like,
all the time,
it blew up all the fucking time. So it would blow up, but then it would get constricted back into, you know what, we're both here to get fucking strong and to make the gym strong.
Common goal.
That's what we're here for. This shit don't matter right now, you know. And then that brings it back in. But then when more options came, it became like, oh well, fuck him, I'm gonna go over here.
I think it injected bitch assness. It just took that element of camaraderie away. You know, I think a lot of the times things get so fractured, and it's a one-off thing over here and a one-off thing over here, and there's no organization to beeline things and keep everything in order. Like everybody show up here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like this person over there because of this, and this person. It's like, why can't everybody just come to one spot? It's not that hard. It really isn't. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Everybody wants like prowess for something they've done, and that's great. But it's like there comes a point where just go and you know, I guess this come of powerlifting federations. You know, there's so many out there. I just finally turned around and said, what's been here the longest? What has the best organization? I'm going to stick with that.
WPC probably longer than anything.
They're one of the largest world affiliates, meaning they have partner countries. I think it's something over like 50, 60 teams can send 50 or 60 countries can send teams to the WPC Worlds. And they're all over the place, like Azerbaijan, you know, like in the world's, you know, it's a true worlds. It goes out of the United States every other year. So like, I think last year it was in Portugal maybe. And then the year before that it was in Florida. And then the year before that it was in like Czech Republic. And then it comes back. So, you know, I guess I just try to get I guess my whole thing is when in doubt, go back to what got you there.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you feel like you're not getting the satisfaction for the things you're doing, go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
If somebody didn't like, and I call it the consequences.
Yes.
They didn't want the pressure. I just want to come in here and get strong. It's like, no, dude, there's other things that require you to be here. Like you have to have the mentality. You will become who you're around. You will either elevate to a status or lower you. Football coach in high school, he said, son, you'll never, ever stay the same. He said, you either get a little bit better or you get a little bit worse. You never fucking stay the same. And that was one thing I always took, you know, so you're either getting better or worse. You'll hear me say that consequence. The consequence of you coming to this meet, you might not get the shit past you think you're going to get past, and you really might only be this strong. And that's hard for people to come to terms with. You might not be 1,000-pound squatter. You might go over this place and you might hit 1,000-pound squat. And I talk about conquering numbers, man. Like I don't like to hit numbers, I like to conquer them, own the ground. Alexander the Great, you know, when you conquer lands, you can drive back through them and visit them, no problem. You know what I'm saying? And I looked at that with numbers. Unless I conquered numbers, I didn't move on to bigger ones. And I think that's a lot of people. They get caught up in the jump. They want this. There's one of my buddies. He's a guy I look up to. His name's Olin Kreutz. I don't know if you know Olin. He was the center for the Chicago Bears. And Donnie introduced me to him. Me and him went out there one weekend and got to work with all those Chicago Bears guys. And he says, everybody knows what it takes. You know, everybody knows what it takes, but nobody will do it. That's why, like, I could sit here and I could tell you, I could lay out 8 weeks training for you. Block period, you know, I could write it all out down to the reps and sets, percentages you're going to take, what bands, chains, all down to anything, and you won't fucking do it. Like you give it to, you won't do it. You won't fucking do it. And that's what it takes. You can, they want to take something from that, something fun that doesn't require consequence. You know, lifting big weights hurts. There is an inherent, there's pain, dude. I'm in pain a lot. But like it's almost like I've gotten to the point with just me personally, like pain is just breathing oxygen. And like, there's a lot of inherent things people just don't want to deal with. And when you get around groups, and I think that's one cool thing about my group, and I handpicked every single one of them. Like I don't just allow, oh, you want to come train with me? Yeah. It takes a person though. You know, I need somebody I can trust. I need somebody that knows, you know, when I teach them what to fucking look at, you know, tell me, did this happen? I need people that can catch 1,200 pounds. If this starts happening, you need to take this because I'm not going to be able to tell you. So like they know when to, it's like, it takes and dude, I like to brag about my group because these girls, guys and girls, they will pick up and take off anywhere. Drive 13 hours to New Hampshire. We always like, you know, Anthony out there, he had a meet in New Hampshire and he just opened his own gym out there. And I was like, well, fuck it. We'll all go out there. And we all three drove separate cars. And it's like, why are we driving 3 separate cars? But we're all here. It's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is it takes a special person to get you to have that kind of success. I
think there's a big takeaway with what you just said though, because let's say with max effort work, right? There's a time to strain, right? And there's a time where they need to take it. You know, even if you might be able to strain through it, if it's in the wrong spot and your spotters don't know, or the helpers don't know, this is in the wrong spot, it's counterproductive, you know? And if they don't know, if they don't have the eye, you know, like you were talking about.
Yeah, you have to teach them to be coaches. You have to teach them to be training partners. I need to tell them that when I'm up, it's time for you to put that plate on there. You know what I mean? Like, they know I don't have to sit there and yell, I need this done, or you know, like set shit up. I need this set up. Everything gets set up. It's like you need people around you that want your best interest. It's like, I don't want to say it's a give and take thing. I guess my whole thing was like, you know, a football camaraderie. If you've ever played like football, you have this real team synergy. And I learned that from Chuck actually, because you know, when he left there, he had to make this new group. So I had reference on how to do all this stuff because he wanted me to train with him, and he had Wenning and he had Chuck Fott. You remember Chuck Fott? Crazy dude. Yeah. Just a big old farm boy, 2 years, pulls 910, gone.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Just one of the most impressive runs of powerlifting probably ever was Chuck Fott. I'll never forget that 08 Power Station Pro-Am. When it was him and I think Wenning went right before him, and he pulled it was a pretty good deadlift, and he broke the world record. And then it was like a couple minutes later, here comes Chuck Fott, and it was a gigantic deadlift, 875 or something really big. And we're like, what the, like, we don't, that was like kind of at the time where you saw big deadlifts at the WPO when Ano came over.
Yeah.
You know, like the Europeans were the guys you watch. Andy comes over, you know, you see this guy, you're like, oh, like who
the fuck?
Yeah. It's pretty good. So.
Not a problem. You know, when he pulled it either, it was like, what the fuck just happened with that?
He pulls it up and he starts, you know, holding it there at the top and screaming, yelling obscenities. And that was cool with Chuck Fott. And he pulled 900. He pulled 910. He ended up pulling, that was his best deadlift. And there's a very small percentage of people in the whole slew of the big picture that get there. More than less stay there. You know what I mean? I was telling you earlier, like it's not hard to get to the top. It's harder to stay there, and then it's even harder to rule. So when you're staying there, you're going back and forth, you know, competing with somebody. And then when you're ruling, you're just kind of looking down on everything. And like, you have to keep it all intact. And it's
so like then you have to be motivated then by the numbers.
Well, it's kind of like this. That's the only thing I've ever been motivated by. So people ask me, like, what's changed? Not a fucking thing. Like, I've been obsessed with numbers since the inception. There's not a thing I don't think I can do. You have to have a bit of like, I don't want to call it arrogance, cockiness. You have to believe in yourself. And, there's a lot of shit in this sport that will cause a doubt. It'll cause you to doubt your training partners. And there's a lot of, like, I try to tell my guys, you're going to fail, you know, you're going to get hurt. You're going to lose, and you might be here a while, but you need to be in it for the long haul. I was like, if you're not here for the long haul, I don't want you here. I was like, if you're mad your squat hasn't gone up 20 pounds in a year, well, it took me 4 fucking years to put 5 pounds on my bench press. I waited 4 years, and I've seen enough cycles of 4 years to know that 4 years is just about up. 2019, 2020, 21, 22. Oh, here we are in 4 years again. So me personally, like through the years, I've seen cycles of ups and downs, and I know, you know, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. But you can't, I say you can't stay up forever and you can't stay down forever and you can't suck all the time. That's what Bob Coe told me. Well, you can't suck all the time. You're bound to get one just as many times as you miss them. You're going to get one sooner or later.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it does take years, for a PR to happen. And I saw just in my time there, I saw a lot of guys leave and it was like,
this doesn't work. You quit.
Just 1 year, one more year, this would have clicked. Because you would see the same type of cycle, like 3-4 years, right around that time period is like stagnant. Then boom.
It's because when it gets hard, they shoot up to this number.
Yeah.
Because they haven't done any of these things over here that really make you super fucking strong.
That's a good point.
And once they do, they went from not doing them to doing them, and they got a super strong, and now it's hard. So when you get up to this high horsepower range, high level of number, it takes so much more to move it. And sometimes it goes back to the cycle thing. I've hit things and I've stayed in this realm, and then I make a big jump. And I just know that if I just hold on, that jump's coming. So that's kind of been my whole thing going, like some things I look at in the later years, shit takes time. You have to be rooted in a system. It's not an 8-week training cycle. It's not a 12-week training cycle. And I will guarantee you, literally 80% of you motherfuckers aren't doing it right. You know what I mean? You're taking pieces of what you think the system is. Though I hear people talk percentages. Well, I'm going to start with this percentage of this. It's like, but why are you doing that? They don't know the weightlifting manuals behind that, the Prolopin's chart, all that stuff, the distribution of if you squat this number, it takes this many reps and sets to sustain that number. You have absolute strength, and then you have like strength endurance. You have to be in shape to sustain maximal strength. A lot of people, they just want maximal strength, but don't want to do the shit to sustain it. That's why they paid a big number and fall the fuck right off down. And there they go. It's not fun.
No, most of it's not.
It's not fun. But you know what? There's like 30 seconds of doing something that no one else has ever done. I've said this in some other things about like, I kind of look up to Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. They're those two upper echelon coaches, and they're guys that have won at the highest level and they keep winning. And Saban more so in this instance, like, there was something he said, they're like, Coach, how do you keep going? He's like, well, after we win the Natty, we go home and enjoy ourselves for a week, and then it's right back to work. Louis always says that nobody gives a flying fuck what you did. They give a shit what you're getting ready to do. And that's always been my mentality. I've never looked back, because when you look back, you're stopping from going forward. So I've never ever stopped and looked back at what I've done. I've never that's why I like I don't want to say sell myself, but I don't like to, I've done this, so listen to me. You know what I mean? I'm here to be the best, the greatest of all time. People ask who I'm chasing. Ed Cohen. You know what I mean? That's the greatest of all time. Everyone asks who's the greatest of all time. So I'm going to do everything I can to unseat the greatest of all time, because why not?